What's up, guys? Mitchell Pelk back with another episode of Pelk Talk. Today we got a legend. My first current Ohio State student athlete, Garrett Wilson, a wide receiver for the Ohio State Buckeyes. Garrett killed it in these first 2 seasons, and he's going to continue to dominate college football next year. With potentially being a first-round pick, I had the pleasure to sit down and talk with Garrett. Don't forget to listen on Apple and Spotify. Now, enjoy. What's up, guys? Mitchell Pelk back with another episode of Pelk Talk. Today I'm joined by Ohio State's starting wide receiver, Garrett Wilson. What's up, Garrett?
How you doing, Mitchell?
Good, man. Good, man. I appreciate you coming on. Obviously, season's over, so you got some time now, but no, I appreciate it. This is actually my first Ohio State, current student athlete, so I'm kind of excited. It's a big deal. It's a big deal.
No, I'm happy to be here, man. I appreciate that.
Love it. Well, let's start from the beginning. How did you really get into the sport of football?
Just watching my brothers play growing up. Probably started watching them play when I was like 3, and then 5 years old when I was living in Chicago. They actually were getting ready to have us playing tackle football. So I thought I was going to be playing tackle football when I was like 5 years old, but then I ended up moving to Ohio. So it was still flag here until you were like 9. So I ended up just playing flag when I started off.
Okay. So what, were you born in Chicago, then moved to Columbus?
Yeah, I was born in Chicago. I lived there for my first 6 years of my life, or 5 years of my life. Yeah.
Okay. And then Columbus. And then when did you move to Texas?
I moved to Texas when I was 12 from Ohio.
Okay. Oh, so you're like an Ohio boy.
Yeah, you see, I kind of
okay.
Brothers went to high school up here, so yeah.
What part of Ohio are you from?
Dublin, Ohio. Dublin.
Okay, so right here, yeah. Oh wow, I didn't know that. Okay, sweet.
Yeah.
So growing up in Texas, obviously, big for football. Everyone knows that. How did attending Lake Travis High School really come to mind?
Yeah, I mean, just having I played receiver, so. We have a great history of quarterbacks at Lake Travis. So I think there's been 11 straight D1 quarterbacks come out of Lake Travis. So being a receiver, it kind of makes it easy on me to know that I have a quarterback that can really sling in, that's going to be playing at the next level. And then just the preparation off season, being able to play football year round with the nice weather, it all went into, me being able to play college ball.
Was that a decision moving to Columbus? Was it for football, or was it having to do with parents' jobs or something like that?
It was my dad's job, and then Lake Travis just ended up being the area we chose in Austin. But the area we chose in Austin was because of the football. But moving to Austin, that was my dad's job.
Okay, and then picking Lake Travis, was that honestly a hard decision?
It wasn't much of my decision. I kind of just trusted my parents on it, and they said that this would be a good spot for me. And, I kind of just went with it. So,
yeah, no, I love that. And kind of getting ready for that first varsity tryout as a freshman, obviously, in the big Texas football stigma, were you nervous for that?
I wouldn't say I was nervous because I had played freshman ball, and they ended up telling me I was a quarterback actually my freshman year. And they told me that if I played receiver, I could be on varsity towards the end of the year. So I ended up getting moved up. So it kind of, eased me into it. I was going to be on the varsity team my sophomore year because I had played that towards the end of my freshman year. Okay.
Oh, so freshman year you played fully freshman, and then sophomore year varsity.
So halfway through my freshman year, they moved me up to varsity. But I was nervous. I was super nervous my first varsity game, though. My freshman year, I was super nervous. But whenever I was on the team permanently, which was for the first time my sophomore year, I was kind of eased into it, so I wasn't super nervous.
Yeah, and you were also a big basketball guy, as you can tell from doing my research. I mean, you were sick at basketball. Did you make varsity your freshman year?
Yeah, basketball I was always on varsity. So basketball was always honestly my main sport. My dad's 6'5", and he played basketball, so I expected to be a little taller. So once I stopped growing, I kind of just thought football was the route to go.
Path. Yeah. When did that kind of decision happen where basketball took that kind of background spot?
I got my first offer in football my 10th grade year. My 10th grade year, that first game. And I hadn't had any basketball offers until later that year. So just the fact that I was a 6-foot guard and a 6-foot receiver, 6-foot receiver makes a lot more sense. Basketball is kind of changing and positions are getting a lot taller. The game's getting a lot taller. So I just thought for my career, I thought football would be the better route.
Yeah. And then obviously crushing it like Travis, especially your junior year, setting records. then the recruiting process happens. Kind of walk me through that timeline of you starting to get offers to you committing.
My first offer, like I said, was my 10th grade. Was after my 10th grade first game on varsity, and that was like so like surreal, just because you kind of realize that you're like, oh, okay, like I'm good enough to do it at the next level.
Who was that? Who was the school that reached out?
It was SMU. SMU was my first offer.
Okay, so right there.
Yeah, so they were probably 3 hours from us, but I mean, they kind of were known to be most people's first offer. So once I got that, I was super excited, and then once it started picking up, I didn't get Ohio State until my junior year, November. Yeah, junior year in November, got Ohio State, and then I went up for a visit in December, and then I went up for another visit in that spring ball, and that's when I actually announced my commitment after that spring ball visit. But I kind of always knew I was going to end up here. So
okay, so what would you say were your top three schools?
Really, it was just, I mean, I said Texas. Texas was 3, OU, and then Ohio State.
Okay. I mean, obviously, like you said, basically growing up in Columbus, but then really living most of your life in Texas. Was that a hard decision with UT and Ohio State?
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't hard because, at the time, Ohio State was just a much more prominent football program. When I went up and visited, it just felt a little bit more right. So I wouldn't say it was a hard decision. If things had worked out better at Texas, you never know. So I don't know.
Yeah. And you going through that recruiting process, visiting all those schools, what was kind of the biggest factor that Ohio State kind of took from you and you were like, I want to go to this school?
Probably like they were the team that had the best balance between like competing for a national championship and also like if football doesn't work out, what are you going to do after, and having that networking, those connections. So I just feel like it was the best balance of getting the best of both worlds. So yeah,
I like that. Do you think that's something not a lot of football players think about, is really what they're going to do after the game?
I mean, I think that when you see people go, a lot of people know what they want to do in life. They know they want to play in the NFL, and that's kind of it. So yeah, I mean, I think that you got a lot of people that do, but you also have a lot of people that don't. So when you see people go to schools like Ohio State and Stanford and schools like that, that they're thinking about both of those things. But I mean, you can really get it anywhere at this point. If you have good networking, good connections, you can go to anywhere, get your degree, and have good connections coming out of school. So, but yeah, you're right though. I'd say you're right about that. Yeah.
Yeah, and kind of going through your high school career, what would you say was the biggest time period? Was it your junior season or some different camps that really put you on the map for these big schools like Ohio State?
Yeah, I'd say junior season. Just like our Texas, high school football and the playoffs and just the buzz around playoffs that Texas, comes with. So I'd had a really good season that year. Ended up going all the way to state championship. And my quarterback was committed to Ohio State, Matthew Baldwin. So they already had an eye on our school, and I ended up being able to get that offer later in the season. So when I got that, Matthew was always in my ear about it, and I loved playing with him. So it was kind of, I just knew I wanted to come here. And Ohio State knew they had that appeal because I had lived up there too. So, they knew what they were doing with the recruiting process.
Yeah. And like we kind of hit on, you were big in basketball and you actually earned, some D1 scholarships for basketball. And, and I guess just like you said, you didn't want to take that route. Why that decision?
My dad actually played for Rick Barnes, who's a coach at Tennessee. Yeah. That's one of the teams in basketball. So he recruited my dad out of high school. And so that came full circle. And I remember
that's awesome.
I was just, I was talking about if I was a point guard and stuff like that, but I had never really dedicated myself to basketball because I'd always played both sports. So I'd never really thought about how good I could be if I had fully dedicated myself to basketball. But with football, if I was playing basketball, I was still working on my football skills, if that makes sense. Or as long as I'm inactive, I was working on my football skills, I'd say I had that talk with my dad and Coach Barnes, and I just thought about it and I was like, that basketball stuff is just different. You're so skillful in your craft and stuff like that. And it's just, I don't know, it's just a little different to where I thought football was, a route that just the way I'm built and the way I am, even mindset wise, I thought it was better for me. So.
Yeah. Did any of those D1 schools come to you with an offer to play both football and
Yeah,
basketball?
in Texas A&M. A&M didn't fully pull the trigger in basketball, but in football they wanted me. If I wanted to play, but I don't think they would actually let me. A lot of it's just recruiting, So,
Yeah.
but I mean, there's some schools, Texas A&M, Tulsa. I think Tulsa was just basketball, honestly.
Okay. Did when you got to Ohio State, did you ever think about, walking onto the basketball team, or they probably wouldn't even let you?
Nah, I mean, honestly, I never thought about it, but I mean, if they had said I could, I still wouldn't do it. It's just such a big, such a big football itself is just such a big commitment that I wouldn't want to, split time with another sport. I just want to stay focused in, be able to spend time with my teammates and build those bonds and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I think that's valuable.
No, I love that. And like I said, you were a baller in high school playing basketball, 1,500 career points. I mean, that's pretty crazy. Do you ever play ball with the guys on the team now?
Yeah, we always try to play ball during the off season. It's been harder this year with Corona. My freshman year, when I first came in, when I came in early, we were playing a lot of basketball during that off season. And then after my freshman season, we played a lot of basketball. But it's just hard lately to find a gym inside, and then
Yeah.
with the so cold, you're not trying to play outside. So
Yeah. What is are the coaches ever nervous with you guys playing ball?
yeah, we're not allowed to play honestly. So um, if they hear this, they might be like, oh, they might be a little mad at me. But we love playing, so we always try to find some time to play.
No, I love that. And you hit on it there. You early enrolled at Ohio State. So after that, senior season, New Year's happens, and then you quickly enroll into Ohio State in January. Was that experience nerve-wracking for you?
Yeah, it was definitely nerve wracking. Just seeing, knowing you're making that jump and that you're kind of like playing football with grown men now. It takes that first practice and like for you to make your first, play to realize that you can like play with these dudes and
Play
that
with these dogs, yeah.
exactly. So I mean that spring ball was huge for me, just getting my confidence. The first day, I feel like I just had established myself as being, I really could play, that I could really play with the big dogs, I guess you could say. So yeah, that happened for me in spring ball where I got that, I got over that hump to realize because off season for me, like working out with them, I wasn't the strongest dude. So I'm looking at dudes lift and everything. I'm like, dang, like I
A
don't know
grown
how
man, yeah.
to go. But luckily once we got on that field, I could hold my own always. So
That's good. That's good. And working out with those guys, obviously working out with dudes that are possibly like 5 years older than you at the time, taking that risk to go early. Do you think that definitely prepared you for that upcoming fall?
yeah, it definitely gave me a jump on, even things like learning the playbook, but yeah, getting used to the physicality and not having to do it all so fast in one summer, before the season starts. It definitely was an advantage for me. So, I mean, I wouldn't do it differently if I had another chance.
And making that decision, obviously being tough, with prom and just graduating high school with everyone else, what was the thing or the moment, really holding you back from going early?
Probably playing basketball my senior season. That was the biggest. That was the
Yeah.
hard because I had always played basketball literally my whole life. I started playing basketball before football. Basketball was my favorite sport, like honestly until this day. So, uh, I mean, like not getting able to play basketball with my senior season, and that would have been our best high school team. Just like looking at as far as our competition we would have played against, like we would have been able to dodge some teams that we could used to not be able to beat. So like that was probably the hardest thing for me, but I knew it had to be done.
Yeah, and coming in, obviously, being ranked at the time the highest, wide receiver coming in, pressure wise, was that hard? I mean, probably coming out to the field every day, you probably had to feel like you had to prove something.
You kind of carry that chip on your shoulder just because you are who you are. But I never tried to, think about that because honestly, those sites had never really gave me my love until right at the end, and I always felt like I was, worthy of a little bit more than what they was giving me. So I always had that chip on my shoulder, like I was trying to prove myself. And I think I brought that with me in college. Ever since I, got here, I was trying to work on my craft and trying to learn something from all the other receivers and all the other great talent we got here. So
When you first got here, was there any like trash talk towards you that like, oh, this guy can't do anything. He's not really what the rankings say.
nah, not. I mean, yeah, you get
You get the
no one
jokes,
cares about.
but
Yeah, you
yeah,
get the no 5 stars anymore, but I knew that stuff. That is what it is. So,
no,
I took it from
yeah.
try to just not hear it, just keep working. So.
And I heard an article, I don't know if this is true or not, but when Fields first got here, he really hated it in like that first week, first month that he was here. He really wanted to go back home. Was that the same for you when you first got to campus in January, just with the big transition of going to college, playing with these grown men now? Was that really hard on you?
Yeah, it's really hard just because me and him were both so far from home. So,
yeah.
I mean, and honestly, just it's hard, it's hard being in off season. Like this stuff kind of sucks, except for on the weekends, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Like it sucks.
It is. It's true. I can remember too, like last fall, just like being at school and playing a sport. Obviously can't do as much as like your buddies back home in a frat, and like seeing Snapchat stories of them going out, like having a blast, and you're just like, oh God, I can't do anything.
Yeah. So you sacrifice a lot, and then just like, waking up every morning at 6 a.m. and, sweating with all you do is kind of sucks sometimes. Like all the glory comes on Saturdays sometimes, so
yeah.
I mean, it's just like, it gets hard might take some time to get used to, but once you refocus in and realize what you're doing it for, you kind of get over that, and you know that, I'm here for business. Like I came here for a reason. So.
Yeah, no, I love that. And so the season starts up, last year in the fall, obviously. What do you think the biggest thing was that, you really learned from playing spring ball that helped you, get on the field as a freshman?
Just getting used to like the physicality. Like I saw whenever I was, going at practice, that first spring practice, I was going against the best like corners in the country that year. So like I didn't realize it at the time. Like I'm like, damn, like Damon is like pressing me to the get off the press, Like
yeah.
Jeff, like at Hefe or Jeff is like locking me down, and I'm like, bro, I'm not open. So like, kind of getting that, out of my head, and then realizing during the season, I was like, dang, like these dudes are the best in the country though. Like there's no one better than these dudes. Like I done played against the best, and I done got open against the best, every now and then we done had our reps where we gone up against each other. So like that really prepared me, just being at Ohio State and that iron sharpened iron mentality, that's still here,
No, I love that. And is that why you think, the DB and wide receiver unit at Ohio State is so good? Because they're obviously going against each other every day in practice?
Yeah, exactly. I know it definitely has a lot to do with that, and then the coaching. But yeah, the main thing is you're just going against the best of the best, every day at practice. So chances are, practice is harder than the game most of the time.
Yeah, no, I love that. And that first game you played that fall, do you remember it clear to this day still?
Yeah. Remember that day.
Kind of walk me through it a little bit. Did you know you were playing or what?
At FAU with Lane Kiffin coaching them. I got a screen thrown to me, and I kind of like I had a pass, it was like right here, and I dropped it. It ended up being a fumble. Went down as a fumble. I guess it was a backward pass. And I got after that. I didn't get another target. So, I mean, that was my first experience at the stands were awesome, though. It was awesome. The energy in the stadium was awesome. I mean, I haven't got that, since that season. So I missed it. Looking back on it. Yeah, that was my first experience.
And then that second game, you obviously have a couple, receptions and all that. But, kind of going down that season, what do you take away from most of just like, playing as a freshman? And obviously now you've probably grown so much in a year, but what do you really take away from that freshman season?
Yeah, I mean, just when you're playing football, and especially when you're playing like a receiver, where the position is so like technician, I guess like the technicians are the ones who succeed. So the people who can do all the little things right, and all that stuff comes with reps. So, if you're a freshman and you're not touching the field, it's harder to really work on your game. Mm-hmm. Just because you're not getting those reps. You're probably not getting those reps at practice either, because they can't waste those reps on someone who's not playing in the game, So it's hard that freshman year, so luckily I was blessed to be able to play and, get a lot of reps to, work on my game and just polish up things that I had to polish up.
Yeah. And playing in that freshman year, what is one thing like you realized first, like, wow, this is big boy ball, or like we're playing in the shoe, or like all these fans, or what's one thing that really surprised you in the beginning?
Honestly, like the fandom, that was the biggest thing. I just couldn't believe that like we had 100,000 people in the stadium. Actually, I was just like, what? Yeah. And then like more people watching at home, like it was just crazy to me. I don't even know. So
I think like for me, obviously as a fan and just like being on the Lax team and and being a fan of like watching the games. It's such an environment where people like really care. Like you ask someone about the NFL, they don't care. It's like all
Yeah,
Ohio State football. And that was something that like shocked me, like growing up in Northern Virginia, right outside of DC with the Skins playing. Like it was all like Redskins
yeah,
football, but like no one cared about like UVA or Virginia Tech football.
yeah.
That was something that's really shocking to me.
It's crazy. Like we are the NFL team, and then some for real. So it's crazy.
Yeah, and playing in the shoe with obviously all the history behind it. I mean, you look up in the stands and you got greats and you got the championship season. You know, what was probably the most nerve-wracking thing of playing in that stadium?
Thinking about dropping a pass, that's always the worst thing first. You drop a pass, it's just like, oh, I just folded. Yeah, I mean, I'd say that's your biggest fear, just messing up on the big stage. Just making a critical error, just jumping off sides or something like that. Something like that.
Something little. So obviously, from freshman to sophomore, you learned a ton going
Yeah.
into that sophomore season. Obviously, with Corona and everything, it's obviously a change. But what mindset wise were you thinking of differently? I want to score this year more. I want to get more yards. Or I just want to be a better teammate. What was that thing on your mind that you really always kept on top of your mind?
On offense, or I'd say in the receiver room, we always kept the mindset that the whole football team is going to run through us. So,
I like that.
yeah, like if we're making plays, then the Buckeyes are going to be in for a good Saturday. Like it's really that simple. Like if all the receivers are balling out, then chances are Ohio State's balling out. So we kind of just tried to come going with that mindset that this is on us. Let's control what we can control and ball out, and it'll probably lead to some good things. So.
Yeah, and obviously, like I said, coronavirus this season. How painful was it? To really get that call to say you guys aren't playing football this year.
Yeah, that was tough. That was definitely tough for the seniors and just seeing them. That was the toughest thing, was just seeing them and seeing everything taken away from them. They had been working so hard for us. So it hit me hard too, just because I didn't think we were gonna be able to play. But at the end of the day, I knew I would have another season. So
Yeah.
I just for those seniors. So yeah, that's what I'll say about that.
And then obviously keep grinding, and then you guys get that call that you guys are back on, and then every weekend is honestly like up in the air.
Yeah.
Was that the most annoying part of just like grinding week by week, and then you get to the weekend and the game could possibly not happen?
Yeah, I mean, we were just talking about this like yesterday, I think, but we looked back at like how many practices we had to how many games, and it's like at one point it was like 118 practices and like 8 games or something like that. something crazy that like throughout from when we got back in June to the end of the season, like we had that many practice and that many workouts and 8
That
games.
many games, yeah. And I think we know that obviously one of the hardest parts would just be like not being able to like have fun on the weekends. Is like I feel like you're in like a hamster in like one of those wheels that you're just not getting anywhere.
Yeah.
And I feel like that, was that definitely tough on the weekend, not being able to see your guys?
Yeah, I mean, we would usually stay, we would hang out. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, we would hang out, just us though. But it was just like the thing, like I said again, the seniors getting opportunities taken away from them. Yeah, really. I mean, it was just the old dudes, not knowing when they're gonna be able to play again, and knowing that that last game we played might have been their last game. So we always, made sure to remind us before we played a game, like this could be our last one, So I mean, it was real this year. It was really real. So, you really couldn't take anything for granted. And I mean, honestly, looking back on it, like it's never been like that. Like it's never probably going to be like that again. Hopefully, I hope, but but it's
I know. So then going into the playoffs, you guys getting selected and playing Clemson, obviously from last year. How big of a game was that for everyone?
Yeah, I mean, we knew if we wanted to get to where we were going to be, that we had to play them. So, I mean, all the stuff we heard leading up to the game that week, we had all the motivation we needed, and we knew we had, we knew we had the team to beat them. Honestly, we knew we had a team to be ready to beat them, go out there and beat them. So we just had to do it at that point. So, I mean, we were all super jacked up, excited to play them, and it felt good, beat the Tigers. Whatever.
Yeah, no, I love that. And then obviously the championship game doesn't go as planned. But right now, you're a 2-time Big Ten champ. Next year, hoping for that championship. But after 2 years under your belt, what do you really tell yourself now? Potentially next year being your last season.
I just want to put myself in the, the best situation I can to, have a decision to make after this next season. So that's all I can really ask for, just have a good season, put myself in the scenario where I'm making decisions. So that's my mindset. I'm working out like this is probably my last year. So, that's always been my dream. But at the end of the day, I just want to give myself the opportunity to make a decision. So.
No, I love that. And explain to me and the fans what TTWFO really means.
It just means till the wheels fall off. So that means you're doing this thing until you really can't no more, until you can't. So
you just love that, huh? I was doing my research. I see that on every picture.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I tattoo and everything. So
is that something that started here or back at Lake Travis?
No, that started probably back in sixth grade.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it's just always I don't know. It's just always been my thing,
huh?
And then me and my brother, I got it tatted together. So
okay.
It's just something that's cool to me. Me and my brother try to stand on it and live by that. So yeah.
No, I love that. And last question before we hop off this thing, obviously with college football, the video game getting your rebounds. I don't know if you saw that on social.
Yeah.
How excited are you to really see yourself in a video game? I think that's the most surreal moment of all time.
Honestly, man, I hope I'm in the video game because I saw that development might take a couple years. So I'm actually a big gamer. I'll be playing Madden and stuff all the time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
it's gonna take a couple years. So I didn't even know that.
Yeah, so if they do come out with NCAA, I'm sure I'll be one of the codest in the country. I'm sure I'll be one of the codest in the country. But I'm really excited if they do, and to be able to use myself. I kind of have used myself in Madden a couple times, but to be able to do it where some people actually, produced the game and made me in it, it'll be super dope. So I hope it comes out, while I'm still here, but I'm worried it's going to be as soon as I, leave or graduate or something. So.
Yeah. And kind of on that topic, one last question, obviously with the video game not being able to, come alive in past years due to NLI and really student athletes making money, where do you stand on college athletes making money?
When you see something like the season go on all year while students are at home, it's kind of hard to say that you shouldn't get compensated for it. But at the end of the day, if they put an NCAA video game out, they don't got to give me a dime. I swear. But at the end of the day, though, I'm probably a little biased, obviously, but
yeah.
I think that the amount of money that schools generate from football teams and from individuals on the football teams. You see people like Justin Fields and stuff like that, produce however much money with their jerseys, stuff like that. It's hard to say that they shouldn't, get a little piece of that, but it is what it always has been. So hopefully we can see some change soon, but until then it is, I'm just happy to be playing here. So.
No, I love that. It is what it is. Well, Garrett, man, I appreciate you hopping on Pelk Talk, man. I just want to say thank you again.
No, yeah, no problem, man. It was good being on here. Appreciate you having me, man.